My kids are like the coolest.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, they give me confidence. They give me, awesome. I use them because they're innocent. You can like test stuff with them and you go, oh, that's how they react. So, yeah.
Well, I guess if you get a reaction out of a 6-year-old, you're going to get a reaction out of anybody.
It's more pure, and that's the thing. Like, I think kids are a good starting point for a lot of things, particularly when, I'll test certain things on them and ask them how they feel in terms of their feet as well. And it's very different, you know. And a lot of the bro science stuff is like, I will not say this publicly, but like all the bro science is like, it's very flawed. We should be like our ancestors, for instance, right? I should say this on there, but we should be like our ancestors. But if I ask you, do you think that, why do you think, I know it is flawed, why do you think that statement is flawed? If we're gearing our health goals towards being like our ancestors, a lot of them didn't live past 35, man.
Yeah.
That's one.
Just try and keep your coffee cup on.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, I know. Everybody says that. I'm like, the lifespan was like 40 years old.
Yeah. So pre-1850, it was like under 30.
Yeah.
More like 25.
Yeah.
1950 was bloody recent, man. And that was 35, like global health averages. Of course, in Western countries, people are living better, living longer. But yeah, I wouldn't look to them. So it's sort of better. I guess it's forced everyone to go the other way, which is good, which is essentially where we're headed now, where my business model is headed, how I develop products. But yeah, it can go too far,
Yeah. Again, like we're saying, like when you go too far, you get attention.
Yeah.
So that's
correct.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to play the game.
Yeah.
You do have to play the game. You run the risk of like, I guess, sounding like a dickhead and it affecting your brand or whatever. But you got to play the game,
Yeah. The game just sucks.
Yeah. I mean, now that you say that, cutting off circulation in your heel sounds a lot more threatening than, it deviates the action of your plantar fascia. Who's going to care about that? No one's even going to understand that.
And that's the thing. Like as soon as you start putting too big words, like
you've lost them.
Yeah. People don't care.
You've lost them. And I guess that's my challenge with the camera because I think like that and I express like that. And I always put a lot of power in my patients, in my customer, right? I would argue that I know almost everything there is to know about feet. I've done nothing else. I've got 2 siblings who are podiatrists. But in a consultation, if you come to me with plantar fasciitis, you hold 60% of everything we need to know. I hold 40, because if you give me the wrong information, we're screwed. So I think the same goes for now with Strider, my customers. They give me the right information, bang, I know where to send them, I know what to tell them.
Yeah. Asking good questions, I guess.
That's I guess you do that, right? Yeah.
Well, let's get it started.
Yeah, let's do it before we give away all our good bits.
Thien, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. It's a privilege to be here.
Yeah. I was excited when you reached out and wanted to come on the podcast. Been following your work for a long time, and like we we're just saying, your content is awesome. I wanted to start with, when people ask, what do you do? What's your answer?
It's always a funny one, As soon as I do give them the truthful answer of I'm a podiatrist, they're going to immediately assume, the next question is, do you have a foot fetish? I don't know why, because like if I answered veterinarian, do you have an animal fetish is something I'm sure vets don't get, right? But for some reason, podiatrists always get that. And I guess that kind of always derails. We made a video for TikTok and it took off, right? Same sort of concept. But I always answer them in a way that is, first of all, I work with feet. We get past the weirdness. And I would then ask them a question of, where would you be without your feet, right? So let's just say I took away your feet or gave you pain. Where do you think you're going to be tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow? Not next week, not a month. And I think that shifts the way they think about their own feet. It's a bit of a taboo subject. Feet smell, foot fetish. It kind of always goes there first. I have to bring it back to where it does matter when it comes to what I do for a living.
But just what we were just saying before we started recording, it's like you do all these things. So content creator, business owner, father, like all these things.
Right.
Like, so you still consider yourself a podiatrist?
Absolutely. Yeah. I still practice on a Monday for my brother and my sister. basically volunteer there. But I enjoy it. You know, it's for the love. And I think when you do something for the love of it, it becomes very pure and very powerful. You know, you don't lean into, I do this for money or I do this for recognition. I do this because I care. And I think there is so much, I guess, wrong with how foot pain is addressed and approached on a mass scale. And I guess all the other things you ask me about guide my work as well as a father. You know, I look at my work as a father. I shouldn't say work, but my role as a father, and I absolutely love it. And it's guided me with faith to answer my calling in life. And I think it all does come together, the business, the content creation. Because yeah, like I said, before we recorded, I was like, I didn't love the camera, you know, which is surprising to so many people who have seen me or who have spoken to me in person, especially. Like I love people. I draw energy from people. But in front of the camera, I don't have a person on the other side. I draw my energy now from purpose and from calling.
I love that.
Yeah. I love the name of your podcast, True Form, you know, and I guess we're all kind of gravitating towards one another now.
Yeah.
And so when I saw your stuff, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. I love where you're headed as well.
Well, it's like helping people find their true form. And I've said this many times on the podcast. I think your true form starts with your feet.
Yeah.
People overlook their feet so much.
I love it.
And like, obviously, like I said, I'm a PT. I work with elderly people as well, and I can see the effects of not having strong feet later on in life. And you might just think, oh, well, it's just feet. It's whatever. You're going to be able to walk, but if you can't walk far or you got in pain, it just limits what you can do and what you can achieve. Like, I know it's so simple, but just something simple like walking is just so underrated.
What a great opener. So I would argue that I was probably one of the first to start gait training people. And I would say that confidently because I looked for content to share with my patients. It didn't exist, right? And it would often get laughed out of the room. Our most viral video ever is, don't do these things when you walk. And it makes people look at something that they take for granted because it's almost like breathing, right?
Yeah.
You've just done it because no one taught us how to walk. We just got up and did it. Parents were happy. And for the rest of our lives, we kind of just did what we did, right? Walking is a skill. You can do it well, you can do it poorly. Within about 5 minutes in my clinic as a podiatrist, I can completely transform someone's ability to walk. Given that they don't have obviously more complexities, past surgeries, or any neurological condition that limits their ability to move, which is probably 90+% of the time, you can have someone that walked in like Quasimodo, no offense to them, but empower that same person to walk out with perfect human true form. Like it's something that I am very, very passionate about. And I give it away for free. I don't want to charge for it. I think everyone has a right to know that they deserve better, to reach their full potential, because foot pain, man, it's going to kick your ass. Keeping up with your kids is going to be a problem. Like talking about what I do, probably what you do. Before you do anything, foot pain is on your mind. Plantar fasciitis, before you start your day, the bastard reminds you that, hey, mate, I'm here and I'm going to control your day, your life, your goals. So, yeah, it's a great point that you bring up.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you said, even just being able to stand up properly and walk properly, like that in itself gives you more confidence. Like we know through studies, just by standing up taller, open up your chest, having proper...
Changes this guy.
Exactly.
So imagine when you take it away or you hinder it, changes this guy.
Yep.
And a lot of our reviews, which is what I get goosebumps. Like, I don't know if the camera can pick that up.
Yeah, I can see that from here.
Yeah, man. A lot of our reviews speak about that. It's life-changing. We have it on our box, which you might have seen, right? Your life is about to change. And we mean that, right? We really, really mean that, especially if you've been chronically suffering with pain and you've been through the $1,000 worth of treatments and the products that you've tried. Our simple little cork insoles, we want to make that change. And yeah, it shifts how you feel, on such a fundamental level.
Yep. Helps you start finding your true form.
No, really, it does. Yeah, you can't do those things when the thing that you've taken for granted starts biting back.
Yeah, and unfortunately, people don't realise it's degrading, and after 10, 20, 30, 40 years, they're like, oh, I can't even walk anymore. And that's what I'm all about, and that's what I want this conversation to be, and all the other conversations, getting people to take notice and start thinking.
Yep.
And like just thinking about your feet can completely change your life.
Absolutely.
You said before people are getting foot pain completely wrong in clinics.
Yep.
What do you mean?
Well, this is a can of worms. Let's open it.
Yeah.
Foot pain is addressed on a very symptomatic level approach, right? So you've got foot pain, let's fight the symptom, right? And if we think about foot pain itself, generally people will gravitate towards a soft cushioning approach, which is not what you want past a certain degree. And that's where I differ from the purist in the barefoot philosophy, right? They believe we should have no cushioning. I believe we should have some, but it's all about that happy medium, right? Going completely barefooted is closer to nature, sure, but now let's throw in the modern environment, concrete, tiles, floorboards. That falls apart very quickly, just like your joints will, right? Just like your soft tissues will. Especially, as you say, when you apply it to a zoom out view of decades, you're walking on this stuff for decades, not a week, not a month. Things start to really change how we should approach foot pain. We should, because foot pain is often chronic by the time someone reacts to it, because people kind of ignore it, it starts to impact them as a person, how they feel outwardly, inwardly. It gets pushed to the back seat or the boot, right? Until it hits critical point. And by that stage, it's definitely chronic. So how we should address foot pain should be addressing it as it is chronic, more holistically and more from a zoomed out approach. Look at the root cause. Look at what's, put this person in that position in the first place. And what you'll find is it has everything to do with the repetitive things we do day in, day out. Whether we train, whether we exercise enough, whether we exercise too much, what shoes are we wearing, what insoles are we wearing. All of it impacts us. And, it's so insidious. We are very resilient. We are very resilient as a species, right? Talk to women, they can tolerate a buttload of pain and they will nurture and take care of everything around them and everyone around them until they can't, until the pain's now gone past their high pain threshold. And so, it changes. We should be looking at things differently as an industry, as a whole spectrum.
Yeah, it's crazy. As a PT, like if somebody's got a sore hip or a sore shoulder, first question is, what exercises do I need to do to get rid of the pain?
Yeah.
But when it comes to feet, it's what do I need to cover it with to get rid of the pain?
100%.
Why?
It's a good question. It's a good question. And when I have treated patients, face to face, with my approach, which is different, my approach has gone against the grain for years, but it's weirdly gone against the grain on so many fronts. And that to me was a sign that it's such a broken system, a broken approach, because the patient themselves are expecting me to give them a Band-Aid or to give them a quick fix. And when I don't offer that, of course I offer insoles, but even that's a long-term thing. That takes time and persistence as well. They are often like, oh, wow, they don't like it. They want something to address it quickly. I guess it has everything to do with our modern attitudes and lifestyles. I've got to get back to doing, my sport or I've got my job, whatever. Please fix me. And you want to educate them, which is so important. Educating, like I said to you, when I have a patient, they hold 60% of the answers, if not more. And as the podiatrist, I hold far less than that. I can only act on what they give me in terms of information. So the whole thing needs to come together. And I think education is pivotal. It's crucial.
So you obviously know pretty much everything to know about feet. You've been doing it for a long time. You know how to help people get out of pain. If you could go back, say when you were learning in uni about podiatry, what would you want to see in that uni course now? What were you learning back then that was useless that you wish they were teaching?
Mate, you should have warned me about how loaded your questions would be. They're great questions. And I guess I've got to answer them truthfully, right? For the benefit of everyone out there. I would probably want to change quite a lot. And I would accredit a lot of my, success, if you'd call it that, in terms of how I operate now as a podiatrist, as the owner of Strider. A lot of that would be I would give credit to my patients for. I've learnt through them, because it doesn't matter what, you learn as a professional. It's like getting your you learn a license, and you know, that first time you drive on your own, you learn so much more, right? It's like that, but with real living human beings on the other side that you're responsible for, who need you to help them. What I did that helped me kind of approach my whole way of practicing is, it's going to be really weird to say it publicly, I don't charge for my follow-up appointments. I never have.
I've heard you say that.
18 years. Never have. Once I've executed, you know, what I would say is essential for the patient to start hitting their targets, our targets, I don't charge. And again, that's powerful. That means that I've let them know that I care about you enough to really want to see how you go. Because I think that's part of the problem with the industry as well. Everything, and we need to get paid for what we do, right? So I'm not saying everyone copy me. That's wild to do that. Borderline crazy. But I found what I got back, hence why I give my patients credit, was priceless. I'm going to learn very quickly what works, what doesn't work, what I need to change, what I need to be aware of, you know, because sometimes we can be caught in our bias. And I'm looking for the curveballs. I'm looking for the exceptions so that I can be better prepared for future customers, clients, patients, to help them.
Where does that come from? So your brother and sister are both podiatrists as well. Mum and dad?
Nah, the madness ends there.
So just the siblings are podiatrists as well. Do they do the same thing?
So I guess it is a good question once again, because my mum and dad were entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And I guess that's given birth to this freak show, right? And my brother and my sister are obviously, they're podiatrists as well. So I guess how I approach things was inspired deeply by how my family do things. So even though my dad was a businessman, a very successful one in Vietnam before we left and came here as refugees, he always instilled the right values in all of us. I'd have to emphasize that, my legal name was actually stuffed up. There's a bit of fun for your podcast. I'm Duck. Crackety crack, right? And what was meant to happen was we all carry that as a middle name. And Duck in Vietnamese leans more towards integrity. It means integrity. There's a more succinct definition of it, but Dad baked it into our names. He wanted us to do everything in this life to do it with integrity and let that drive us. And everything else will fall into place. So whether it is the health professional role that I have or the business owner role that I have, doing it with integrity means that I am able to obviously be completely passionate about what I do without ever having to be hindered by other draw cards, like money, for instance. And so I guess that's where it comes from. Do that properly, and I guess all the pieces will fall into place.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's big.
It's huge.
I know we're moving away from
Thanks,
feet a
Dad.
little bit, but talk about that a bit. What makes up integrity to you?
Integrity is knowing that you're doing the right thing, obviously, but for me, it's servitude, serving others. You know, having faith is everything. And I think if ever I've ever felt lost in my life, I look to faith. I look to faith in what I do, faith in why I'm here, and faith in what I need to do for other people is the driving factor. And integrity is fundamental to that. It's, you know, and I think when I base my actions, my thoughts, and my intentions on helping people, I don't have to worry about how I feel in my spirit, in my soul. And, you know, it does the opposite of worrying about it. It now adds to why I do things, my identity, and what matters to me.
And that comes through in authenticity as well. Like when you're doing it to help somebody, you're not doing it for the money, you're not doing it for the fame, whatever, insert what you could get out of it. It just comes through, and I think that helps people a lot more as well.
Yeah.
Like you get to learn how to actually help people properly. That's
helped me get over my cringe. So in front of the camera, I remember I had these videos that I knew I had to post by a certain deadline because we're going to be on TV, national TV, and they said you had to get something out there. I sat on that for 2 months. I just felt uncomfortable because I didn't want that attention, right? It's just too much pressure, which is, again, weird to people who know me because they're like, oh, you're such a, out there guy. But I remember it was one night, surf was bad, weather was bad, didn't fish, and we were away. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to post on TikTok on a new account. No one knows me there. those I posted 2 videos over the course of 2 days. Those 2 videos now are sitting on like 8 million views. Those very first 2 videos. And I guess I could see the impact it was having on people. They were thirsty. You know, I was copping a bit of heat. I'm like, who's this guy telling us what's he going to do? Tell us how to breathe next? He was like trying to teach him how to walk. Don't do these things when you walk. He's like, oh, you know, now he's going to tell us, you know, how to breathe and all these things like that. Bit of hate came my way, and I'm like, but I could understand that, hey, my message does matter. And I think I can help more people beyond the 4 walls of my clinic, you know, and maybe there is something in this, and I'm about to go on TV. So it took a whole new turn. It became its own beast, aside from obviously appearing on Shark Tank with my product and my brand.
Yeah, I had a guest on. Her episode will drop the weekend after we record this, and she was saying the same thing, very self-conscious about how she's looking on camera, what's her peers, like she comes from a very academic world, so what's her peers going to say about what she said? I'm like, look,
feel the same thing.
But I'm like, don't worry about it. It's about what you are trying to do to help people. Like, people are going to engage with your conversation. It comes through in the stories you're telling. It's going to help people, and that's why you're doing this. Whatever happens, but you're doing it to help people, so it doesn't matter how you look on camera. Just as long as that message is coming through, and it does.
And that's really good. I mean, just hearing that, it helps me understand it a bit better as well. Jump outside of your skin and understand that all the things you worry about, your image or even just, you know, how you sound. And it wasn't even like, I often don't care about what other people think of me, but you got to stop worrying about that and start worrying about what it is you want to do, how you can help, right? Because when you shift the importance to that, you then remove your own, I guess, ego and the things you worry about in front of your peers, in front of your family and your friends, and you just get down to work and you make that difference. And like I said, with the reviews, reading these our reviews are massive, you know, that's how you know they're not fake. These people pour their hearts out. You know, I stood in the kitchen and cried after feeling great again in my feet after 15 years. And we have the concerning thing, and I guess that is a strong sign or red flag that what we said earlier about there being a huge problem in the scope of practice when it comes to foot pain on an industry level, that's a sign. Our brand Strider is a sign, because people are saying the same thing. They're almost forced to walk down the same path, spend the same amount of money, only to lose hope, only to be let down time and time again. And so in our reviews, man, we see that. I see that. I read everyone. I reply to everyone. So that's another weird thing. I guess I have these virtues from my father of do things with integrity. And when I'm doing that, I guess I do the hard stuff, but it's easy to me. Like following up patients for free or answering comments myself. I should be outsourcing that. Ask any entrepreneur or any business owner. Like, that's something that I should outsource to the Philippines. It's so cheap. And it takes up a lot of my time and energy, but I love it. So to me, it's time well spent. And it allows me to keep a finger on the pulse of my products actually making a difference, because I care. Yeah. I think selling it is easy. I don't want to bash another brand, but there is a common competitor who's copied basically everything we do, but they do adopt that soft approach. It looks good on camera. It's a visual hook. Look at these soft insoles. I'm just bouncing on them. It's going to fix all of your pain. You know, it sells, and it really, truly does. But then you look at sort of their reviews and their comments. There's a lot of fake, and then the real ones that do express, this feels really like plasticky and it's just the cheap foam. It's true, you know, and it reinforces why we do what we do and how we do it. Because I can tell you now, point blank, it's not been easy along the way to do things that are different to everyone else. Because then let's say you take off and it's going all right, you then get copied. You know, you get the copycats. So now you got a different problem. But, you know, having that drilled into me, that the end consumer, the end customer is who matters to me, just keeps me focused, and I keep going.
We'll dive into the business in a second, but I want to go back before it. What were you noticing? Like, obviously there was issues that people were having. You're like, oh, well, all these issues, there's nothing out there. I'm going to do it myself. So what were the issues, and why did it lead to making your own insoles, shoes, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. First of all, currently we have a lot of skeptics that convert, and they make the most loyal fans. But dial back to, the past, and during my 18 years as a podiatrist, I would see the same common themes. So it doesn't matter what color creed they were as people, they all have feet, and all feet are technically the same on a fundamental level, but they all went down the same paths, tried the same treatments, paid the same amount of money, and it's a lot of money, right? And I guess that's what drove me, because I'm like, I reckon I can help these people in a way that is more cost effective, more effective, and in a way that we can basically guarantee it. I'd happily, refund someone if it didn't work, because it's the right thing to do. Sure, it's a loss to us, but if the product is good enough, well, then I'm not going to worry about that. It's scary when you haven't done that yet on a business level, but when you start and the results speak for themselves, you do it with more brazen confidence.
So how, like, you were so confident in the product, you're like, this is going to work, like,
because I was so confident in the problem.
So
and
what was
understanding the problem? Poorly addressed. I guess, again, what I said earlier about symptomatic-based treatments.
So people just, again, trying to cover things up without actually...
And again, this is, I guess, I hope I now can answer this question really well, in that when products or treatments are sold, hence the free follow-ups, the person selling it or the company selling it doesn't care beyond that. And I think that's what I bring to my industry and my business. It's care. It's what we're selling. It's what we're doing. It's weird to say selling and care in the same sentence, but we care. And again, if you have a viral sort of product or a visual thing that you can sell, once it's sold, they don't care. And what you end up with if products and services or treatments don't care is you end up with a patient that gets let down time and time again. Because if they genuinely cared, then you're going to see a more widely accepted household name in terms of the product. And that's what I want Strider to be one day. For common problems like plantar fasciitis, Morton's neuroma, which is what I saw in the clinic. And when I see these chronic conditions in the clinic, these people get funneled down the same path. And the most frightening part is a lot of them start thinking about surgery.
Yeah.
Right? So now we've stepped away from just surface level symptomatic approach, which is arguably too surface level, not caring enough and deep enough, to now let's cut this person open or let's inject them.
Yeah.
Which is still, hey, don't get me wrong, that is still the right treatment for a certain number of patients who have complexities, who have, other things that have failed them. But why not try the correct approach with conscious conservative treatment?
Yeah, that's a scary thought. I see it all the time with people as well. Like, shoulders are big. They're like, I'm just going to get a shoulder reconstruction, or my knee is again. And it's just like, well, have you tried strengthening it or doing some exercises? No, but the surgeon said that. I'm like, well, okay. But you just don't know what is going to fix it. But so I got your insoles about 3 weeks ago. I'd been struggling with plantar fasciitis for a couple of months now. Typical guy, like 2 months went by. I'm like, no, it'll get better. I did nothing.
Typical. Yeah, most people are like that. Yeah.
Although I'm a personal trainer, so do what I say, not what I do. And finally seen somebody started improving, and then you reached out, and I've been following all your stuff, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to get them, see if they actually work. And shit, within a day, it was gone.
And you sprung that on me today. You pulled off your shoe and I was like, get goosebumps again. Such an emotional guy. I brought you a pair, and you showed me that you're wearing them. So that means a lot to me. I don't care how many times I hear it, it never gets old.
Yeah.
And that's why I know that I'm doing the right thing and I'm enjoying it,
So
it's so good to hear that from you.
So how?
How? Why is it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So
why does my foot feel so good in it?
Great question, man. How I designed the insole, I handcrafted it myself from scratch. And if you saw the prototype, you're like, whoa, that looks like a dog's breakfast, or a prep science project. It is through having that intimate connection. Oh, that sounds weird with the foot fetish thing. That intimate understanding of foot pain and pathology and chronicity, how things get as bad as they do. Because plantar fasciitis, by definition, is a chronic type condition. How it develops is chronic, and how long people suffer with it is chronic. Understanding that allowed me to craft a product or a solution that addresses that root cause, you know? And when I went on, you know, when people discover the product, they're like, why, or when they even dip their toes in with us, why would your product work? There are hundreds of iterations out there. There are so many other treatments out there that look like yours. Why are yours different, right? Of course, I can explain that 10 different ways, but to someone who's unfamiliar with strata soles, it can seem like, you know, you're positioning yourself to be different. Why? Everything else is seemingly better. They're soft. Yours are hard. Why would yours work? And that's what it works, because it is different. You're in the notion of, I haven't heard enough about your case with it, but most people have tried the other insoles and they haven't worked. And in that process, they now have a bias against what I'm offering, which is this different thing of being cork and being hard and not offering that soft sponginess, which, you know, we all seem to be lulled into thinking we need, you know, that false sense of softness, and wrap it up in cotton lamb's wool, you know. But yeah, mine is, from a design perspective, from a composition perspective, completely different. In fact, I should share this next part of, I was taken to a conference back in 2022, before we were had bigger exposure. And a lot of the podiatrists were mostly skeptical about what they saw right in front of them. It was different, you know, so that was a good measure for me to say, yeah, well, guess what? I've ticked the box of, I'm not entering the market with what's been said and done. The podiatrists don't really trust it yet, you know, and I emphasize the word yet, because now we have a really good network of podiatrists who do support us and have seen the results, you know. But yeah, that's how I knew we were different on a design level.
Yeah, and you're right. I haven't tried any other insoles.
Okay.
Because again, I just went down the strength. I knew that weakness, the pain was coming from weakness, so I just worked on strengthening that up. But I know other insoles, they're all soft, cushion the foot, all that sort of stuff. But yours is very hard, but it still feels soft.
Bang on, brother. Let's go into that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the opposite side of the spectrum, right? Which is answers your earlier question of university. I was taught at university, along with my brother and my sister, because we're all older. And Liam, who was my patient when he was 7, is now a podiatrist who works with me. Okay. He's amazing. He's then updated me on, you know, current teaching. They haven't changed.
Oh.
So
that's good to know.
Oh, mate. The rigidity of devices is sky high, which quite honestly is why I guess the barefoot movement is highlighting that fact. But I don't want all insoles to be lumped into this category, which it seems to have been, because of this fault. And that is, insoles that are too stiff, too rigid, can't be good for you. And we have this, they push this message of, the foot should be in this ideal position. And let's demonize flat feet. You know, let's make flat feet the common enemy, which it isn't. I want to put that on record. Every foot needs to flatten and pronate. Every step you take, right? But by addressing that problem, that symptom, that presentation, you now are not approaching it the right way. You know, you're trying to fix something that doesn't necessarily need to be fixed. It might need to be optimized. It might need a bit of help in the modern environment, but those stiff devices splint your foot. They're too aggressive. They now override your natural mechanics, hold you in one position throughout your gait cycle. No one's actually gone, that's probably not the right way to do this, ever. And so, not in your case, but in other people's cases who come to us and finally find relief, they've tried these things. And mind you, those stiff, rigid, terrible devices, they cost on average $800.
Yeah.
Right? And that doesn't include follow-up. You see why I am the guy that I am. That doesn't include follow-up. I feel for the person in front of me. I don't want to just charge them relentlessly without offering them some kind of confidence in my treatment and what I do and how much I care. So the product, and that filters down to the product design. You know, it's easy to sell someone that's softness, fall in the line. I mean, if I'm being honest, even I thought, wow, what if I just put something soft on mine? Just to get the customer past that hurdle, that objection, you know. Thank God I've never had to, you know, actually do that, and I won't. But yeah, that's why. These soft devices, too soft, they can actually, rather than, the best case scenario is that the softness does nothing for you. The worst case scenario is that it destabilizes you, right? And that will go into shoes soon, I'm sure. But the soft cushiony shoes that you see everywhere, it's all just gimmicky. When we have too much cushioning, it destabilizes our feet. Basic physics. If I'm going to punch this table, the table technically is punching me back, right? So if I want to push forward to take a step, I need the ground to push me back. So when you have these soft materials, that strains the foot. It creates a sense of, or not a sense, it literally forces you to sink before you can actually propel yourself with that return of energy.
So your foot can't grip on anything. It's just basically just getting...
Yeah, let's strap 2 pillows under you.
Yeah.
You know, let's say you walk around without rolling an ankle. Let's say you're running around without rolling an ankle. And yet that's how these shoe designs and insole designs are basing their approach on.
So let's transition that into barefoot shoes. I'm a big fan of barefoot shoes. So when I first started wearing them, like I said, I used to wear the
Finger. Yep.
Yep. Loved them.
Yep.
Got out of them because I couldn't find them anymore. Went into the traditional shoe. I was into CrossFit for ages, trying to find a right CrossFit shoe, and just completely screwed my feet. So I was walking around with tight Achilles, tight feet for probably 12 months. I could not get rid of it. Massage, dry needling, all that sort of stuff. Got into some barefoot shoes, similar to Vivo's, so no support at all. Gone. All the tightness, everything. Obviously, my foot could just stretch out and strengthen up, so all the tightness was gone. But since then, I've gone back into a little bit more of a cushioned shoe. As you've probably seen, I've got on now, and I've obviously got your insoles in. So I've gone, I still love barefoot. I try and go barefoot as often as I can, but now I've got a little bit more support in the shoe.
Yeah.
What's your take on the barefoot shoes? Should we be barefoot all the time? Like, how should people think about their shoes and getting into barefoot shoes?
Let's make this a memorable one. You're gravitating towards what your body naturally wants. And you know that. Everyone knows that. That's why I say to my patients, you hold 60% of all the information that we need to get in order to get you where you need to be. You can feel that. You can, I guess, go towards gimmickry and go towards these sensationalized ways of selling product. But for me, it's going to what the person will naturally want to feel, which is a connection to the world around them. So in terms of barefoot shoes, I want to make it very clear. If I had to choose between overpowering the foot with all these modern day technologies that you find in shoes, in insoles, or the barefoot philosophy, I would choose the barefoot philosophy every day. However, I am different to that. I would sit not too close to the purist approach to being barefooted because of that number one factor. And that's, I guess, where I disagree with, very prominent barefoot people who are my friends, where I think we need to equip our bodies to the environment that we're in. And we all entered the world naked, right? So that is where we should naturally be able to be for the rest of our lives, right? Yeah, you take a shower, you're naked. You're not wearing shoes then or insoles, right? So if you cannot function without a shoe comfortably, which is a common theme with patients who have been suffering with pain or as they get older, an interesting, I think I'm going off topic here, but you've asked such an interesting question. If you ask certain older women who have worn shoes with heels or elevated heels, they can't go without them for too long. They feel like they're going to fall backwards.
Yeah.
A bit like you when you said you had tight Achilles, tight calves, tight everything. Because we're all wearing shoes with jacked up heels. Now, I want to shift people's thinking to when I say this, they might be thinking high heels. But I'm not talking about just high heels. I'm talking about your everyday shoe that you basically can't avoid right now. If you walk into a shop that isn't selling barefoot shoes, you're going to get a shoe that is high heeled. And we go back to the other point of things creeping in over a long period of time, over decades. If you wear a shoe with even just 1 centimeter offset higher in the back, you are going to get a shorter calf muscle, a strained Achilles tendon, all right? Because it's going to normalize to that position. And then, of course, when you go to, you have to train in more minimalist shoes in the gym, you're going to feel that.
Yeah.
So barefoot shoes, I think, is where we should be headed. But I'm pushing people towards, obviously, with or without a bias, towards what I offer at Strider, which is the Strider insoles bring the ground contact up to your feet in a more firm way. And cork itself, when you said that you felt that cushioning, cork is incredibly cushioning. Our blend of cork is very unique. There are 40 million air bubbles or airtight cells per cubic centimetre in cork. So perceivably, when you touch it, you think, oh, these are bloody rock hard.
Yeah.
But under your body weight, you can feel that they're cushioned. You can feel that they're not steel or polypropylenes or thermoplastics that we use when we make custom-made devices that are too thick and hard, right? So there is that sort of feeling that you get when you wear strata soles. And I'm glad you brought that up on your own. I didn't train him, guys.
So why, with all the shoes out there, barefoot shoes, all that sort of stuff, why go and make your own one? Why do that?
Because again, it comes back to the point of a lot of what I do now was born out of frustration. Because I feel for my patients like as if they're family. Because I take that very seriously. And you'll see me say that in our comments, in our review responses, that your faith in us means the world. If someone's going to take a chance on me, I do not take that lightly. It's the opposite of, I've sold you the product, see ya. Hopefully you don't ask for a refund if it doesn't work. That is not who I am. It's that faith has driven me to find a real solution. And it's born out of frustration. Let's just say if a perfect shoe existed, like you say, right? And we still, even though we sell shoes, we still recommend other brands of shoes to our clients. We've recommended our customers to go and buy shoes from someone you had on recently, B Primal shoes, because they sell barefoot shoes. Ultra, we used to sell. I believe in ultra running shoes. So if we don't stock it, we're going to happily send them to the right place because that's the right thing to do. And in turn, we get something in return for that. Trust. The customer that came to us with their trust and their faith isn't going to be let down. And hopefully down the line, like my dad taught me, things will fall into place and they will have some kind of karma bouncing right back to us in their referrals, in their trust, et cetera, et cetera. And here, hopefully, that's how we will grow as a business.
Yeah. So
yeah, frustration. Seeing that I couldn't recommend a shoe that fully met what I am looking for the foot. Let's make it, let's dial it right back to simplicity. If I look at the human foot, there is a certain thing I have in my mind when it comes to a shoe. And I feel that a lot of it is being missed. A lot of the marks are being missed. And that's what I'm going to develop. And that's what you're going to see in early 2026 in our first range. And I'm betting everything on it. Everything is on the line.
Can you talk about that shoe?
You can be the first I share it with. Yes, I can.
So what's different about it?
We're developing our own outsole. It's all geared at two things. Making sure that every foot that experiences our footwear feels more natural, but not too natural. Why? Because what you're moving on is bloody far from being natural. So it's bridging that gap, helping you still feel human on modern day surfaces and giving you all the tools and the feet all the tools it needs in order to thrive, in order to stay strong. The strata soles work. Why? Because they enhance how your feet function in motion. Because a lot of the way insoles are sold is like it's a static image. Oh, don't be flat. These insoles will lift you and you can be like this, right? And or be arched, I should say that for those who can't see. And that's so flawed. And that's when you ask me why do strata soles work well, it's like being in the gym. I actually use this analogy not because you're a PT, but picture yourself doing a bench press and you're off kilter and you don't have a spotter, right? Let's just say you do that for long enough and it's just slightly off, not heaps off, because you'll know if it's heaps off and you'll auto-correct. But you'll eventually develop an imbalance or an injury, right? As a PT, you can poor form. If you're doing it wrong, you'll have that. The foot's the same. So strata soles are almost like your personal trainer, personal coach that keep you in alignment throughout your day. And that's why they work so well.
Love it. And yeah,
And our shoes will be designed with the same DNA.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not about, and that's why I appreciate what the barefoot world has done in combating, orthotics that have harmed more than they've helped. But I need my role now in this industry is to pull it back and say, yeah, we need to change how we do it, but there is the right way and the wrong way. Throwing them out altogether ain't the right way.
I do the same thing with personal training, and it sounds like you've done the whole same thing with learning about people's feet and creating products. You can't just say, here's one thing for everybody.
Size fits all. No.
It doesn't work like that.
Of course not.
And like we were saying before we started recording, unfortunately there's people out there that say this one size He's going to fix everything.
Just like you. You've got, a certain build. You do a certain job. Sure, I'm trying to address many problems, but I'm never going to say it's 100%. Because we know when our insoles don't work. It's that infrequent that I am the one reaching out, right? And it almost always falls down to a similar thing, right? There's more complexity. There's a previous surgery that they might have undergone. There are other old injuries that haunt them. And of course, the big one, the huge one, is lifestyle. Some people have to be on their feet for 20,000 steps a day, 12 hours a day, and they have to go full bore. They got to put food on the table. They've got to keep up with their kids. They got to do all these things. And there's only so much I can do, even if it were as my patient and me as their podiatrist. There's only so much I can do before I have to accept that they can't make certain changes until their foot pain forces them to.
Yeah.
I'll still be there ready and waiting when that happens. But that's what we need to, I guess, also factor in, that humans are complex. And what we do with our bodies varies so much.
Yep.
A lot of it, we're in the same boat. But if you want to really address people who are suffering for a long period of time, you have to look at them more in depth, more holistically.
Let's dive into Shark Tank. I didn't know you were on Shark Tank until I listened to the podcast that you were on with Andy Bryant.
Yep.
So how long, I guess, give me a timeline. You started as a podiatrist. When did the first product come along? And then when was Shark Tank?
The first prototype I made actually 4 years ago. So long before we were on Shark Tank. And I actually did it again out of frustration because I thought, you know what? Not everyone can afford a pair of custom-made orthotics, I need something more cost-effective. I need something for my clients, to the point where we have it's nice to share this for the first time publicly. We actually have a set number that we donate to charity with a good mob called Footscape. We've given shoes to them, we've given insoles to them. Because I don't want to sound like I'm trying to be a good Samaritan here, but it's just the truth. We have families who are quite disadvantaged who came to us and referred by, a certain group because they knew that I would care for them. And that's so nice to know. But they just simply couldn't afford it. So I wanted to develop something that I had full control of and it wouldn't set me back too much to just give them a pair. I really don't want to say this out loud because now everyone's going to want a free pair. But we did do that. And that kind of, gave birth to me creating this thing out of frustration that it didn't exist. And from there, it gave me the confidence to try and share that with the world on a bigger scale, to bring it onto somewhere like Shark Tank and develop it and really put faith and resources behind it, which is where I'm at now with the shoes, right? It feels like I've been fortunate enough to achieve quite a bit of success just with the Strider soles, and we're in America as well. To a point now I'm like, well, let's go again. Let's put it all on the line. The riskiest business, I to my knowledge, people should fact check me on this, is the footwear industry. It's the riskiest one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
There's only like 2 or 3 that have probably 90% of the market.
Yep. And that's why you're coming up against the giants. I'm not doing this to be a rebel or a disruptor. I'm doing this because, again, I feel like feet need it. Fundamentally, feet need it. And so that's why I started Strider soles, and that's why I'm starting our next shift into footwear. Because believe it or not, you've had great success because you've already got good shoes, right? But there is an obstacle with Strider soles working.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I could imagine.
The 3 things that we know generally, if someone's not getting the results we want or what they want, we're in this together. They don't win, I don't win. 3 things are, blokes wear shoe sizes incorrectly. So sizing is an issue. To get the width they need, because they've got muscular feet, they'll have to go up in length, right? So now if they buy their Strider soles to fit the shoe length, then it's too long for their foot. But I've designed the insole to anatomically fit you as if they were custom made for you. And you'll notice that. So that's obstacle number 1, get the size right. Number 2 is get the footwear right. Right? So if you pair them with shonky shoes, they're not going to work. They're possibly going to make you worse. Now, I sound very sexist, but that's a woman problem also, because women's shoes are very tight in the toe box, very tight on volume. You stick a Strider sole in there, and they'll tolerate it because high pain threshold, but eventually it's going to make them feel worse. So that's the second most common obstacle. The last one is, getting the diagnosis right, getting the background information right in order, because, some people will try and get the Strider soles to fix something that isn't even plantar fasciitis, thinking that it is.
Yeah.
even worse, getting that diagnosis from a health professional. Like, because of course, no one's perfect. We get things wrong. So yeah, it's propelled me in the direction that I'm going now. Yeah.
So Shark Tank, how'd that come around?
So yeah, I saw that, and a few of the sharks were people I'd followed and looked up to, like Jane Liu, Davey Fogarty, Sabri Subi, like all these, Robert Herjavec. I mean, what a gun, right? These people have obviously made big moves, and I looked at sort of what they did and how they did it, and seeing them upload, the announcement that, hey, you should apply for Shark Tank. Oh, heck yeah. I'm down, because, I've always watched it. I don't watch a lot of TV, but there were 2 shows I've always watched. One is Survivor, right? And the other one is Shark Tank. And so, yeah, seeing that opportunity come up, I was like, I've got to get this out there. And we hadn't made any money, hadn't made any significant sales. We're kind of nobodies, right? I was a nobody. Why am I saying we? I didn't have any employees. So yeah, it was an opportunity to obviously showcase and share what I felt had to be shared to a much wider audience. And I was blessed to be able to go on and do my thing.
Yeah, nice. How was the experience of standing up in front of the sharks?
Oh man, it was first of all life-changing.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
It changed my life. From there on in, I looked at how I did things differently. And it changed my life, obviously, not for the reasons that most people would think. Yeah, your business exploded for where we were. We're still small fry. But not that. That's probably not the dominant thing in my mind when I say it changed my life. It changed my life in a way that I recognise that people do care about what I have to say when it comes to feet. And otherwise, you would think quite boring topic, quite a taboo topic, gross topic, feet, stinky, Yet, as we spoke earlier, feet are so important. So joining those 2 things together, I guess making it more interesting, more engaging, and I guess more personal, changed my perspective of myself and the work that I do. I now look at everything I've done for Strider and everything I'm doing for Strider as answering my calling in life. Rather than just, I've got a product to take to market. Rather than just, I've got to sell some insoles. I've got to sell, right? To me, it's more important.
That's all good.
Yeah. It's way more important than that, and that makes me, I feel, unstoppable. Because of course we see copycats spring up day in, day out. There's one that's named their product name and same category as us, 2 letters different to our name. Would you believe? So it gives me that sense of conviction that I just got to stay in my lane, do what I do because it matters. And Shark Tank gave me that. The production crew, as we spoke about earlier, I give them all the credit. As well as obviously the experience, but they believed in me more than I would say before I believed in me.
Wow.
And I mean that, like I get nothing out of how to say that, but I hope if they ever listen into this, that they understand that I'm still so grateful. And of course, the Australian public, they believed in me, it's just this circular thing, one thing offsets the next and it all sets it in motion. And I hope where I'm going next just continues this legacy of getting feet back on track on a mass scale.
I definitely think you're going in the right direction. So I have to admit, I haven't seen the episode. What happened?
Oh man, it was a roller coaster. It was absolutely. It went for an hour and 40, I believe, which is apparently a lot longer. And it was the first time on my season that someone had secured an offer from all 5 sharks.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So standing there, I can tell you, it was like the Niagara Falls in my armpits. I was sweating bullets, and that was actually affecting how I was like delivering the pitch. Before I'd even walked out there, the experience is as you see it, right? It's quite real, which I even would have guessed as a viewer. I'm like, no, they probably do this and this and this, and craft it. No, it's raw. So obviously the editing changes how because you're in there. I was in there for an hour plus, so how they edit it was out of my control. Standing on the other side of the elevator before you enter the tank, I could hear them really talking smack about my product, Oh my God, what's this? Blocks of wood, because I had the cork out there. And, this looks so boring and dull. Geez, here we go, right? And they were obviously probably hungry. They'd been filming for, quite a while by the time I stepped in there. And, because you could see lightly through the gap of the elevator and I could hear them. I don't know if that was part of it to like make me sweat. But yeah, I entered the tank, delivered the pitch. I think I choked midway. I think I covered it up really well. But, your mind goes numb you can see the 5 sharks, very powerful people, and you can see the entire crew, and you've got to just keep it together. But yeah, it went really well, because I think when you watch it, you'll see that I speak about being a refugee. And they asked me about, my story and my father teaching me what he taught me. And Robert, he started to get very emotional. He started crying, and in real time, it was a long time. Like, everyone was just dead silent in there. And it made me bloody emotional. Now I'm nervous, I'm sweaty, and I'm like freaking tearing up. It's just, it was a lot. But I knew it was real. It was really real. And it did set into action, into motion, what I had to do in this life. Isn't that incredible? A bloody TV show, really did change my life enough to try and change other people's lives. And it got to the point where Robert said, how much money you made? All right. And you'll see this. And then he takes the piss out of me, and he goes, and then it went silent in the tank, because my figures were very unimpressive.
Yeah.
And he had said, Thien, why are you so interesting? Why do I want to work with you so bad? And why the heck haven't you got sales to back this up? So I'm standing there again in real time, realizing, oh, yeah, he's right. All these things I got to fix and I got to do. And, because the show it didn't air for another few months, and of course I hadn't really gone totally viral yet on TikTok and Instagram. And so it was such an interesting experience that changed how I looked at not just me as a person, but what I have to do, my purpose, finding my true calling or my true form.
Let's dive into that a bit. So obviously that was life-changing, like you said. What were you doing before that you're doing now, in habits, I guess, ways of thinking about business, life, helping people? Like, what changed? What are you doing now that's different?
Again, that's a really great question, because it's teaching me now about how I've become this guy. The important things didn't change at all, right? What changed is realizing I have to focus on those things only.
Okay.
Thanks for that. You just helped me realize that that's what it did.
Yeah.
Because that is what it did. I used to care so deeply about the patient in front of me. And I felt this burning desire, realizing that they weren't the only one. There's this huge population out there who are completely in misery with their foot pain, who I knew I could help, and then realizing that, how am I going to do that? How am I going to get to like the destination of reaching that goal or that purpose? And then really sitting down, thinking about it, and putting an action plan into place that doesn't take away from what I believe in and what's important to me and what makes me want to be a better person and how I want to grow as a person, and then putting that into actionable steps for the real world and the real marketplace.
So that was a business plan. So you didn't have a business plan before, or you just got more focused on the business plan after Shark Tank?
To be quite honest, yeah, I probably had one, but it was rubbish.
Yeah.
It wasn't succinct enough. And again, thank you, Shark Tank, because they make you write a business plan.
Okay.
They make you look at your business and like pick it apart, because they know that you've got to be ready for national TV, that you're going to be clean, and that you're going to have your trademarks in place, and that you're not going to do or say anything that might implicate the show or implicate the sharks or implicate, I guess, yourself. So it made me look at all those fundamental things that it takes to run a business and build a brand, because it's not just business right now, it's brand as well. You could have a business and a terrible brand. The two go together. So it made me look at those two things more closely, and it forced me to broaden my skill set. It forced me to get in front of camera, like something I didn't know how to edit video, listen to my my voice and my head and go, yeah, mate, don't worry about what you look like, just worry about what you're trying to help people with. And I guess, it did that. And that's my business plan. If I had to, I can actually sum up my business model in one sentence.
Yeah.
Help the person with foot pain. That's it. Help the end consumer. That's my business plan. And everything else can be worked backwards from there, reverse engineered from there. But yeah, I guess that's why I now think it was rubbish, because it was overcomplicated. It was numbers driven. It was, and of course you got to look at those things, right? Otherwise you will sink. But, I think if you have that and you work backwards, the numbers will make more sense.
I think that again, keeping it simple, like having that business plan of just what you are passionate about. And obviously you are passionate about helping people get out of pain and their feet. But how do you stay focused on that?
That's, again, like it's so good that you're targeting that, because everyone wants to think they're helping people. Everyone wants, inherently, I believe every human being is good and is capable of evil as well, right? And it's a battle between the two. And hopefully good comes out on top. And I believe it always does. It's how you hone in on, how I hone in on actually realizing that fact that, hey, I want to do good, you know? I guess that's the driving force.
So let's break that into day-to-day life, because again, like I said at the start, you're a father, you're a business owner, you work as a podiatrist still. Like, how do you manage all that at a practical level? So, you know, do you have calendars? Like, how do you...
Depends who you ask, eh? Don't ask the wife. But I do manage it really well, I think. I think I have to. Otherwise, you know, you will crash and burn. It's such a, you know, high stakes thing. I mean, I don't have to practice on a Monday.
Yep.
I commit a whole day to that, which means kind of Strider suffers a bit, because I'm there. I'm very 100% focused on the job at hand, which is patients, patient care. So yeah, I think it's just making sure you stay organized, making sure you have resources and attention where they're needed most. Because there are so many things, you know, even fun has to be there. Time with kids and enjoying my time with my kids has to be a priority, because that makes me who I am. And that's the thing, when people ask me, you know, I'd like to think I'm a good dad, but people think I'm a fun dad, so that's good. They say, how do you juggle that? What makes you better at doing that? And I think I have to be better at being me first. You know, I have to nurture the things that are important to me, and that comes in all forms. Like we talked about surfing. I love surfing, and that's like therapy. And of course that suffers when, you know, my work commitments are so high in demand. Fishing, you know, I love fishing as well. So it's a matter of finding that balance, like with everything down to the atomic level. Everything needs balance, right? Just like the shoes, too cushioned, not enough cushion, you know, too much contact, not enough contact. It's all about that balancing act of keeping my priorities aligned with who I am.
So a lot of people listening have a passion like you do. Maybe it's not feet, but whatever it is, had a lot of different guests on and they want to take it to the next level. But again, I think they just lack that focus of knowing what to focus on. So what advice would you give to them? I
completely sympathise with, if that's where they're at, because I was there. You know, I've definitely been there. You have all these things burning, and it's kind of, you have to dig them out. Right? It sits deep in your gut, in your spirit, wherever you want to put it, and it's there. I think it's taking a step back, pulling yourself out of your own skin, and really finding out why you're unhappy, why you are happy, how you can realistically fix those things, and slowly get there. It's not a race, you know, but just shift the mindset. And I live by a prayer. It's called the Serenity Prayer, but I lived by this long before I even thought of it as a prayer or knew of it as a prayer. But it's the Serenity Prayer, where, you know, we should all be focused on accepting the things we cannot change. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Finding the courage to change the things I can, and having the wisdom to be able to tell the difference. And I guess that answers this question. Find out what you can change, realize what you can't, you know, and being humble enough to change yourself to meet that ultimate goal. Was that another thing your father taught you? Because you said you realised that before you even knew it was a prayer. He was the bloke that put the thing next to my bed through my entire childhood years and my teenage years. I look at that every day. I reckon I was there before I knew how to read properly. And certainly, because the words are quite complex, you know, for a kid. So it took me a long time, but I stared at it every day, and then eventually it hit. But my father has, you know, instilled these things in me from a very young age, and my mother. Like they're together, they're I mean, you know, I revere both of them and I fear both of them in a very loving way. But I'm so grateful for their teachings and guidance. Love that. I always finish off with asking a question. If you could get everybody on planet Earth to do one thing, and one thing only, a practical thing, not just sit there and think about things, like a practical thing, they have to go and do this thing, what would you get every single person to do? Walk and talk with each other as much as you can. Walk and talk? Walk and talk. Why? And the science backs this up. walking in itself has obviously all the health benefits. But if you pair it with talking, it then fills in all the gaps as well. That's why I was so against how we did things in Victoria. Gee, this is getting political. In terms of lockdown and how we were isolated. How long does it take? You might know the answer to this. Guess how long it takes for the human brain to start changing on a neurotransmitter level when it's completely isolated, truly isolated, like the whole or a tropical island.
I'd probably give it a couple of hours.
You're very close. It's a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But I would argue that the change occurs in the first couple of hours, but on a measurable level, it's 2 weeks. And so let's work backwards from there. You know, how do we change that very dark thing of changing how the brain works and make it a positive thing? Well, stay connected physically and mentally, connected to those around you. And I think, again, the science backs this up. You can starve off so many comorbidities and then prolong your lifespan by walking and talking with someone. So, and use technology. You can call someone, Bluetooth, you don't have to physically have them there, but it keeps everything, it irons out all the creases.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That's so simple, but so effective.
Again, it comes back to my podiatry career, like 18 years, I had patients who came into me, older patients. There's nothing wrong with them. And they'd come back very soon. And again, I'm not driven by money, so I'm like, hey, what are you doing? I felt like that was quite unkind now because I didn't quite understand that's why I asked the question. But they were lonely. They were lonely. They were literally, because I have a very good connection with my patients, I care about people. And, ethically, sometimes they tell you don't get too close. I tried that, but I'm human. So for me, I realized even then that's a problem in society itself. And we talk about feet, we talk about walking, but it's connected to more than just that. If you can't walk and you don't have functional feet, you can't talk, not in person and not in motion either. So seeing people who are so isolated being so lonely, and an epidemic of that in our country, and I'm sure many others, is something, again, I'm very passionate about. So maybe the next part of Strider's strong message is, stay connected to the people around you through movement. Oh, I'm going to write that down. But yeah, that's one thing I would want the world to change.
Love that. Love your message. Love what you're doing. I'm excited about the new shoes. Where can people find you and what you're doing?
Strider Movement. And our website is www.strider.com.au. And we're on TikTok. We're on all the social media platforms. We have a physical clinic, in Rosanna. We have a lot of our online people meeting me in person, and it's weird. I haven't changed who I am, but when they come, these TikTok, Instagram fans, when they come in, they're like enamored. They're like, I don't even want to say this, but they're like starstruck. I'm like, nah, man, I'm just Thien, bro. I haven't changed. But it's nice to have that, my message resonating on such a deep level that people feel connected to me already. And I think that is so beautiful. That's what I guess influence should be based around.
100%. 100% agree. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate being here. And I think you're doing a wonderful thing yourself of spreading the very good message that you do.
Thank you. What is up, everybody? Thanks for being here at the end with me. Obviously, you've enjoyed the episode, but did you notice there was no intro and I don't run ads through the podcast? I don't want to break up the conversation with sponsors telling me to tell you to buy certain products or services. I just want to bring you the best possible conversations that are going to help you live a long, healthy, happy life that is true to you. So in return, all I ask is that you interact with this podcast. Like, subscribe, comment, 5-star rating wherever you're listening. Most podcast platforms have some sort of algorithm now. So the more you interact with the podcast, the more people I'm going to reach to help them live a life true to them as well. Or you can copy this show link and send it to one family member or friend that you will think will benefit from it as well. They'll appreciate you've done that, and I'll appreciate you've done that. You'll be appreciated all over. I would love for you to check out the next episode, so make sure you go and listen to that as well, and I'll see you over there.